Well, what I'm trying to shoot for now is we have a few different shotgun areas around here that during hunting season, they're shotgun only. And a few of us have been trying to convince Fish and Wildlife of Oregon to allow the 4570 during rifle season, or during shotgun season. They haven't done that yet. So this video is about presenting that argument. I'm going to do a 12 gauge Sabot slug versus 4570 today. And what I'm going to be using is a 300 grain slug, moving out at 2,000 feet per second, 3-inch Magnum 12 gauge. Versus the 4570 300 grain slug, moving out at 2,400 feet per second. And that's the specs on this guy. We're going to measure drop, and we're going to in effective range. Drop in effective range versus impact. So that's what we're going to do versus accuracy. So pretty much I just want to prove to Fish and Wildlife Department that the 4570 is almost the exact same specs as a 12 gauge Sabot slug and should be allowed during the same season. So we'll see you out in the field. Long distance impact. We're going to measure the impact on the metal at 150 yards. Shotgun slug, guys. That is one big piece of lead. Oh, God.
What the hell? Lane on the highway. So I just gotta fix this thing. I'm in bar one day. And I'm like, oh, that's not a bad Smith because it's not closer. But
okay, hold that thought. Okay, you listening? Okay, here it comes. I'm bringing the thunder, buddy. Bringing the thunder. Woohoo!
did you drop the gun?
Oh, that was a 45. That was a 4570. The buffalo killing beast.
Did you drop it? 'Cause that's what it sounded like. It sounded like you just dropped the gun.
Hey guys, so far the 4570 and the 12 gauge are flying almost identical. This is 12 gauge 4570. That's 150 yards. So they're flying like at the exact same level. So let's take it out to 200 yards, and they both have scopes, so we should be able to go pretty far. I'm hoping to take them out as far as they'll go, which is 350 yards. So let's do some shots. Let's do 300, and then let's go out to 350, and we'll see what the impact is. I noticed that the impact is a little broader than the 4570 with the 12 gauge, and they both seem almost exactly the same depth. So that's kind of crazy to me that neither one impacts the metal any deeper than the other. Man, they're really, really identical. So anyhow, guys, yeah, let's do it again. The crazy thing is, to me, is I did a video earlier on the 500 Smith & Wesson, and the 4570 or the 12 gauge, neither one of them have the same impact and depth as that 500 Smith. Yeah, Look at that impact from the 500, guys. That is just insane to me. That's from the last video. So I turned the target around. Let's hit this thing from some distance with the 12 gauge and the 4570 and see if we can get any of that kind of depth, because that's pretty cool to me. All right, guys, here we go. 4570, 200 yards. Right, guys, here we are. 200 yards. 4570 up first. All right, guys, last shot. 4570, 300 grain. This one's 200 yards. Same bullet. That's a ting. We got it. All right, guys, 12 gauge SST ballistic slug. Hornady ballistic slug, 300 grains, 200 yards. See if we can get out there. This one's a little different, guys. XP3 ballistic slugs, still 300 grains. The 70 millimeter 3-inch Magnum. So let's see if we can get out there and touch it with this. 200 yards. Let's do that again. Gravy. Man. Oh, that is some recoil. Okay, guys. So we got out there with the 12 gauge and the 4570, but can we get out there with a 44 Magnum? That's what I want to know. Long shot. Sound like it, guys. All right, let's try one more out there. It's rifled, so it should get out there. Let's see. This is the aluminum rifled 44 Magnum insert for a 12 gauge. Seems kind of sketchy to me, but okay, let's try it. The 4570 and the 12 gauge slug SSTs have been flying almost identical. The ballistics are right parallel with each other. We're out to 300 yards now, so we're going to go head out to 300 yards, and impact has been the same. Grouping has been better. Now that we're at 300 yards, this is really where I'm going to stop, because I can go out to 350 yards with the scope that I have for my 4570, but anything past 300 yards, you're looking at an unethical shot because of the ballistics of the firearms that we're using. So I'm going to stop at 300 yards because this really is where I want to prove my point to Fish and Wildlife of Oregon, is that the 4570 flies identical to the 12 gauge slugs. Impact is identical, but accuracy is better with the 4570 simply because it has rifling. You know, it's able to grab the rifling better than a plastic sabot grabs the rifling of a shotgun. And of course, with a smoothbore shotgun, you're not even going to have that advantage. So So let's check it out. Let's see what the grouping, let's see what the trajectory is like with the 4570 versus the 12 gauge Sabot slugs, because we're already losing accuracy with the 12 gauge. Okay, guys, here we go. 300 yards. These are some seriously bad to the bone slugs, man. I'll tell you what, they are bad. I think I'm getting more impact with these ballistic slugs than I am with the 4570 when I look at the metal up there, guys. So let's see if we can hit that metal from here accurately. I don't think that it's able to hit the metal from here, or I can't hit the metal with it. And I'm marking plenty, so it should be getting on there. Let's try a slightly different load before we give up. Let's go back to the Hornady SSTs and see if we get a little different result. This is the last time I'm going to try a 12 gauge at 300 yards. All right, guys, 4570, 300 yards. This is the ballistic point for the 4570. It's still 300 yard. It's still 300 grains, so it still counts. Yeah, buddy. The 4570's tinging away out there. Ain't no big ting. So, guys, my final conclusion is that they fly almost exactly the same. The 300 grain Sabot slugs for the 12 gauge fly in trajectory almost identical to the 4570 300 grain slug. As far as impact goes, the impact was almost identical. I think the 12 gauge actually even had a little bit more with those SST slugs. But as far as grouping goes, the 4570 was more accurate out there further. It started out the same at 100 yards, but the further out we got, the wider the groups got with the 12 gauge, which is to be expected. The 4570 stayed on target, clear all the way out to 300 yards. And I know from experience that it'll do it out to 350 yards, because I've taken an elk at 355 yards with the 4570. So it can be done. This is my argument to the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife to allow a 4570 during shotgun season, because it's safer. It's actually safer than a shotgun slug. If the drop's the same, but you're getting better accuracy, why not? And that's still my argument. I had the same argument during muzzleloader season to allow crossbows during muzzleloader season. You know, accuracy is very similar. Load time is similar. And trajectory is similar. A crossbow bolt drops almost the exact same rate as a muzzleloader slug does. So anyway, I would love to be able to use my 4570 during shotgun season. It's more accurate. It's safer. I'm not gonna, I run less of a risk of hitting anything that I shouldn't with the 4570. Yeah, side note too, guys, $18 for 5 shots of these shotgun slugs that are specially designed for long distance and penetration, where 4570, for For 35 bucks, I can buy 20. So it is more cost effective. So if you have a choice, 4570 is cheaper and more accurate. So guys, I actually overcompensated. Those are some big holes from a 12 gauge and a 4570. Now down here, you can tell these are 500 Smith, all these older ones here. But we've got 4570 here, here, and here. That's all newer stuff, and they don't penetrate near as much as that 500. And up here, here's one of those 12 gauge SSTs. That's more penetration than a 500 Smith. So that's some serious penetration right there, guys. Then here we go, guys. We got a little lead on the ground. There you go, guys. Got some diminishing returns. So there's some of your shotgun groupings. Looks like I had to move it over a little bit. Then here's our 4570, just as an example of grouping. They group actually pretty close to the same.